How was your night?
Alex. So we don't usually talk about the movies that we're going to talk about in our cold open, but I just want to say, look, right now we're in this great period of invention, quarantine, where people are thinking when we first started quarantine, Shakespeare wrote King Lear in quarantine. When you come out, have a fucking masterpiece. And then everybody, pushed up against that. And we're like, no, you shouldn't feel the need to have a fucking masterpiece when you come out of quarantine. I want to come out of quarantine with a time machine. I'll tell you why. Because with this time machine, the first place I'm going to go is June 16th, 2020. That was yesterday. I'm going to go back to the Nick that had the idea to do the theme, the worst movie to watch at 2 a.m. over again, because we already did it, but then the audio was bad because my microphone at the time sucked. So we were like, let's do it fucking again. And this time, last time I chose It Follows. This time I chose a movie that we will get into after the cold open. I watched it at 2 a.m. last night. Me and Alex watched our movies at 2 a.m. and I was texting him and I was scared shitless. I have never been more frightened of a fucking movie in my life. And I want to get in the time machine. I want to go back to myself and say, listen, fucker, don't fucking do this. Are you insane? What's wrong with you? Get fucking help. Get help right now.
I would go back and meet Leonardo da Vinci. Little justice, little justice, little justice. Fuck yeah.
Oh my God. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Little Justice, this thing we do. I am Nick Walker.
I'm Alex Smolo.
Today's theme, as I said already, is not Leonardo da Vinci.
You really hate it. No, this was your idea.
I know. This was this was a terrible fucking idea.
I was a little surprised because the first time we did it, you talked about how difficult horror movies are for you. I kind of like it. I grew up on this. I'm like, it's an experience for sure. You got to brace yourself to get into a horror movie, but I can do it. But you avoid the Tower of Terror.
I hate it. I fucking hate the Tower of Terror. I hate that shit. I hate because, I can do it when it's the Guardians of the Galaxy because the queue is fun. It's a fun queue. Benicio del Toro's there and you got the little rocket puppet like, hey, we're going to break him out of the lift. And you fucking go in the lift and you're like, hands up, everybody. It's time to rock and roll. And like, that's fucking fun. It's not like Twilight Zone Tower of Terror where it's like, on this night, you're gonna fucking die.
You're gonna die. Like you're gonna shit your pants. It's safe to assume that you don't watch horror movies often.
No. So my wife loves a good horror movie, so I'm trying to get into them more. And here's what's interesting too. We try to choose very specific genres because if we were to just do the, favorite horror movie, favorite this movie, favorite that movie, we'd be out of genres within half a year. Do you know what I mean? So what we're doing is we're getting specific about the genres that we are doing. So this was not just a horror movie. This was the worst movie to watch at 2 a.m. Specifically, what movie is the worst movie to watch at 2 a.m.? So first you have to break down what is 2 a.m. 2 a.m. is when it's dark. It's when it's like right before, it's like an hour before the witching hour. Shadows on the fucking walls.
It's not just dark, it's empty. It's like everybody's in bed. It's been quiet for several hours, right? It's not like, oh, like I'm going to bed and now it's 2 a.m. It's like, no, everyone's already been asleep. Things have had a chance to crawl out of the shadows.
When I was watching this movie, I had my headphones in, but I also had some, people riding, like random people would ride by on their bicycles. I don't know if they were delivering shit or whatever. It was fucking brutal. And I can't tell you how already terrified I was to the point where, me and Alex were texting while we were watching these movies and we were both like, God, our wives are asleep. It's just us. This is the dumbest thing we ever could have done. And I told Alex at a certain point, I had to stop watching the movie with sound. I had to turn off the sound. That was how bad.
So you turned off the sound. So here you are sitting there. You've put headphones on. You've committed yourself to watching a horror movie, and we'll find out which one it is in a bit. How far into the movie were you before you turned the sound off? Because that seems ridiculous to me.
I'll tell you where it comes from. When I was a kid, cause I've always been scared of scary movies, and not even like scary movies. Movies that like if I was to watch them now, I'd be like, oh, this is actually not a scary movie. Movies like Congo. I was terrified as a kid of Congo. I did not want to watch it. And I remember, because what would happen is whenever my cousins and my mom would take me to a movie, whenever the scary part would start ratcheting up, I would stand up in the middle of the theater, and then people behind me like, get the kid to sit down. And then I would stand up, and then I would stand up for about 10, 15 seconds, and then walk out to the aisle, and then walk up the aisle and just stand in the back of the theater till this part is over, and then I would return to my seat. And that was how I watched these films. And to this day, I still do a similar thing where I put my hand in my ears. And the reason that I turned the sound off is because one of the second times that I did this, one of the very kind teenage movie attendant, like it was almost out of a scary movie, because he like appeared, like I was in the back of the theater, and all of a sudden this like movie attendant like comes around the corner from the shadows, and he's like, "Hey kid, you know what makes it scary is the sound. So if you plug your ears, it won't be scary anymore." And then he just wanders off like a fucking ghost. But it's true. What the ghost attendant said is true.
Your life has been shaped by a creepy teenager stalking around a dark movie theater talking to little children.
Yes.
I got it.
Yes.
Now I understand your relationship to horror movies, because you have lived in one.
Because I absolutely lived in one. but it's so true. So, half of what makes horror movies horrifying are the sounds. And when you have a horror movie that has a good soundscape, I was just like, okay. There was a big climax about 30 minutes, 40 minutes into the movie. And after that moment, I was like, let me watch it without sound for a little while. And then I turned it back on. And
did it work?
Oh yeah.
Was it less scary?
It's actually, you should try it. Try it with not a horror movie,
Well, see, I'm an adult person. Like, I can get through a horror movie.
Yeah, I don't want to do that.
And get to the other side.
I don't know if you know this, but people are dying every fucking day. I don't want to subject myself to too much insanity. The world is insane enough. However,
so that brings me to the point of horror movies are really built to make you feel uncomfortable, right? There's like this human innate drive to want to be scared, and I wonder why that is. Do people like it because it pumps their adrenaline?
I think it's adrenaline. I would also, I'm sure there's a lot of analysis of this, on videos. Please, by the way, if you find these analysis videos, tweet them at us at Little Justice Pod, on the Twitter, LILJUSTICE pod. Gotta plug it there.
Little Justice.
I also think that on top of this, this adrenaline rush that we get is like the idea that, like, on a good horror movie, you put yourself into someone's shoes. Horror movies are actually the best at building empathy for their central character, because the entire conceit of a horror movie works on the premise that you identify with whoever you're following through this movie, right? Because when they're scared, you're scared. So it actually creates a lot of empathy with a character, and horror movie scripts have to be really, really good to do that. But you're able to go through something terrifying and walk away. I think so. I think it's not only the adrenaline rush, it's like a way to kind of dip your toe into danger without actually being in danger.
Right. The idea of conquering something with a safe exit, because there always is a safe exit, right?
Always.
Like, you're watching a movie and you know that there's no ghost in your house. You know that you're not going to die.
I mean, you kind of know.
You're going to walk away from this experience. So maybe there's some kind of like subconscious need to like survive something.
I think there is. I think we love feeling alive. I think we love feeling alive, and I think horror movies help us do that.
And it's interesting to historically to track horror movies through time. I took a course in college, a film history course about horror movies, and every week you show up and we would watch a different horror movie from a different decade and kind of track the evolution of horror movies from the beginning. And it's so interesting to look at what comes out during different like social points in the history of the world. Like what kind of horror people are attracted to. I'll be curious to see what comes out of this year specifically, because it brings out people's fears. Like, what are people really afraid of? The 50s and 60s had this whole like nuclear bomb end of the world stuff going on. The 80s got us Candyman. I'll be curious to see with quarantine and everything, like what really people are gonna need to face.
Well, it's interesting because so many of the horror movies that have come out recently, right, have been in some way reflective. We call them, somebody said social justice horror movies, right? In that they're speaking of not only the Jordan Peele movies, but also like The Invisible Man.
It extends to even like slasher movies, right? Like Scream resonated with a time because it was a very comfortable suburban, and the idea of somebody with a knife coming into your house and killing you on some level resonated with the culture. Even though it's a dumb slasher movie, it resonates on some level. It has to. And like that's not scary anymore. You know, they try to reboot Halloween and all these movies a million times, and it doesn't work quite as well because we are not scared of it anymore. You know, this unknown factor, because we know everything with the internet.
But well, and to your point, I think what we don't know right now is ourselves. I think that is the way that Jordan Peele has been able to get away with what he's done, is because he is looking at us as a country, you know, the movie Us and Get Out and all his, you know, all his other stuff, and especially the movie that I chose that I should not have chosen. One of the things that I was like just struck by was like how much of a self-reflection it was, how much of like it was truly one of those movies. You know, it comes from a long line of movies before it that have similar plots, but the way this movie was done, I was like, oh no, this is very much about societal reflection. And it was.
So let's talk about the difference then between a regular horror movie and the worst one, to specifically at 2 a.m.
At 2 a.m. What do you think it is?
So, I mean, horror movies work on different levels, right? And the movie I picked made me realize the difference between a movie that's built entirely to scare you and a movie that's built to track a story. There are horror movies that you follow from beginning to end. It's all about the mood, and it's all about just trying to get you in a place where they can pop things out and scare you, and then there's some resolution at the end. There's other horror movies where you kind of get emotionally attached, and there's horror involved. I think I haven't seen it since it was in theaters, but the movie Mama did that really well, I remember, where like it builds to this huge climax, and like the horror tends to fade away by the end because you're so invested in the characters and what's going on. And those movies tend to be quote unquote better movies because you come out feeling like you've experienced an arc.
Yes.
But at 2 a.m., a movie like that, like you're not really even if it's not shooting things out at you every 15 minutes, you know, you're going to get tired because it's so late. So I think a really good 2 a.m. movie is one that like can push and pull you constantly.
Yes. And that, and keeps you engaged, keeps you on the edge of your seat.
Mm-hmm.
I think something that really, I think just going back to like the basics of it, I think it's probably something that takes place at night, because that's the other part of it too. Like you want to watch this movie and you want to feel like this could be happening outside your home right now or inside your home right now. And also I think that there's something, you know, the 2 a.m. movie, I think Supernatural bests anything.
Oh, I think so. Yeah.
You know what I mean? Because I think that it has to come from a place of, is it real? Is it not real? And that's the question that I've seen with, you know, the few horror movies that I've watched so far. With the supernatural ones, it's like the best ones are, is it real or is it not? At 2 a.m., I want to know exactly, you know, if I feel a hand on my foot, I want to know that that's the prostitute that I hired, you know, at 11. You know what I mean? Just right. Waking me up
to keep you company while you were watching this movie.
Let me know he's going home. You know what I mean? Like
that's you want to know that it's the theater attendant.
I want
to on
exactly.
the 9-year-old.
Yeah. On the 9-year-old. on the more that I think about that story, the more I'm like, wow, there's such trauma.
Do you need to talk about it? Do we need to find you somebody to talk about that experience?
I just had therapy yesterday. Like I'm so good. But yeah, man, I think that's a huge part of it. So, you know, definitely a movie that keeps you engaged, definitely a movie that is supernatural, definitely a movie that takes place in a similar scenario to the one you're in while you're watching it.
Do you think something that takes place in someone's house is going to be scarier than somebody, you know?
Yeah, because I think even if it just centers around or comes to a home at some point,
yeah,
that is your safe space, and all of a sudden the movie is showing you that your safe space is not safe.
Right.
That scared the shit out of me. Golly damn, dude.
Golly damn. Well, you want to line it up?
I'll line it up, dude. And I think you're going to get it because, you know, if you're a horror movie aficionado, you should get this pretty quickly because this movie changed the game in a lot of ways. So, fuck. I don't even want to think about this movie right now. Fuck.
You can do it. We're here for you. The entire listening audience is here to get you through this experience.
Thank you, guys. Thank you. So, oh, fuck you. Oh, fuck you. Dude, my fucking mic just went in the red because I jumped so loud. You're a fucking bitch. I'll kill you. I'll goddamn kill you. So so we open on a title card. It's a black screen, and then fades up in some white lettering, and it's a eulogy. It's obituary, and it's talking about a woman who just died. Then from that, there's some more creepy ass music. It fades up, fades up, fades up, fades up. You hear the first thing you hear, by the way, is a clicking sound, a weird clicking sound. You're not sure what the fuck that is. And then now we're pushing in. We're in a home, but we're pushing in on another home in this home, a doll's house. Stop it, Alex. God damn you. God damn your ASMR bullshit. Do you know what movie it is yet?
I think I do.
Yeah, pushing in this doll's house, which has a lot of detail to it. And we see there's a young man laying in a bed, but this is not a doll young man. This is a real young man. His father comes in to the bedroom carrying a black suit. Come on, Peter, it's time to get up. You know, Peter, this high school age kid is like resisting getting up, but he's going to get up anyway. Father goes out to a tree house where a young girl is sleeping. She slept her all night. He's like, hey, come on. You know, first of all, don't be sleeping in the treehouse this late. It's, you know, it's cold. But you also have to wonder how the fuck did the father not know that his like 10-year-old daughter was asleep? It was not in her bed. It was in this treehouse. How did he not know that? Whatever. They go to this goddamn funeral. The mother gives this very interesting eulogy. She talks about how she didn't really know her mother and kept her at a distance, and that she was actually kind of surprised to see all these people here. The daughter is meanwhile drawing in a notepad. You can't tell if it's a picture of the mother or if it's a picture of the grandmother it's an open casket funeral. But there's like a foreboding sense, like even at the funeral, you just feel eyes watching. Like the little girl is at the casket and there's a guy in the corner and he just smiles her this creepy ass smile. And you know, they go through a day, but what I'll draw to a close, where I'll bring the title in, is when the mother later is in her workshop. The mother, you know, builds these dollhouses, you find out. And she's closing up for the night, and all of a sudden she's just walking around in the workshop, and you just see her fucking mother standing there in the goddamn room with her, smiling. Like, and you don't even know if she's smiling. It's just so fucking faint. Of course, this movie is Hereditary.
You know you were her favorite, right? Even when you were a little baby, she wouldn't let me feed you because she needed to feed you. She was like crazy.
She wanted me to be a boy.
You know, I was a tomboy when I was growing up. I hated dresses and dolls and pink.
Who's gonna take care of me?
Excuse me, you don't think I'm gonna take care of you?
But when you die...
Why?
I'm proud of you for
Alex.
watching it.
Alex, I'm
proud of you for deciding that this is the movie that you were going to watch and then sitting down, and even if you weren't watching it with sound.
Here's what I'm going to say straight up. One of the best acted movies of that year. And I hadn't seen it. I hadn't seen it before this. But truly,
yeah, I think it was. I remember really enjoying it. I think Ari Aster is a really. He also did Midsummer.
And he did
I think
and The Witch.
He's an exciting.
Right?
No, he didn't. No. That's a different
Is it
guy.
The guy. Okay.
I like that guy more. Except
Really?
I don't remember his name. Dave Eggers.
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 You're right.
Yeah. No, Ari Aster did Hereditary and Midsummer, and Dave Eggers did The Witch and The Lighthouse. I think what Aster does well and what Hereditary does really well is it's subtle horror, right?
Oh
it's
my
very
God.
psychological. It sets this mood, and you never really trust what you're looking at. And it's built on getting you so connected with the characters that little slight adjustments to the reality of their situations work really well, right? Like little stuff that wouldn't work if you didn't care about the characters or understand the characters. And then every now and then there's these explosive moments, like the car accident, where everything just flips on its ass
Oh my God.
and shakes you up a little bit. But so Had you seen this movie before?
No, I had never seen it before. And speaking to the car accident, I think that that's what the movie does. So, like you said, right? So much of this movie are slow pans, and he plays with your line of sight so well. He plays with the foreground or the background so well, and the foreground, but he'll have you focusing on one thing, and then the scare will come from someplace completely different, and you'll have sat with that one thing for so long that you're truly waiting for that one thing to pop off. Like it's these kind of double whammy scares that are just too much. So the car. This is spoiler alert for anybody who's listening. But that fucking car scene, so the kid, the brother goes to a party with the sister, lies, says he's going to like a pep rally, but is really going to a school party. And the mother, there's like a whole thing. The mother allowed her 10-year-old, her small child to go with her high schooler to a party, which is a problem in itself. But, she goes there, eats something with nuts, goes into anaphylactic shock, cannot breathe, this poor little girl. The brother is high as fuck, gets in a car to get her home. They're on the road. They're driving fast. He sees a fucking deer, swerves. Her head gets fucking decapitated. And it happens so fast. And he is just in such fucking shock. Her head was sticking out the window and it's gone. Just gone. And he drives home and it's completely calm. But the shots of shock that they were able to capture, that they chose to put in, and like you're just sitting with him, and then he just goes to bed. The motherfucker just goes to bed, leaves this headless body in the car for the mother to find the next day. And this is actually based off a true story, believe it or not.
Really?
Where two friends. It wasn't a guy and his sister, but it was a guy and a friend were partying, and they got high, and they were driving home, and the guy had his head at the window, and his head got fucking cut off by like a signpost or some shit, and then the guy kept driving. And like was just in such shock that he just left the body in the car.
Yeah,
like
I mean, I think it explores shock really well in that sense, because like shock is like it's one big thing, and then kind of this like quiet echo for a long time, right? Where before like the reality of consequences set in, before anything, there's like a blankness, right, where like sound sounds different, and the light works different, and this does that work because it takes a really long time for someone to find the girl's body, and you're waiting for it, and you're following him, and he's really calm, and you feel really uncomfortable knowing exactly, there's a decapitated, his sister's like dead in the car, like, and you're just sitting there waiting, and then he falls asleep and wakes up, and you're waiting, and it's just like, I think it explores that really well. His other movie, Midsummer, does like tripping on acid.
Oh God, yeah.
The whole movie, they're all tripping on acid, and it does this really like the whole. It's horror, but it's bright outside, and everybody, and the little nuances of what that experience. Not that I would know, but of what that experience is, where it's not shoving it down your throat. It's just letting you be there, and it's slowly degrading and warping. And
it makes it problematic because you realize that any scenario can be a scary scenario if you just let it settle. That's what the movie does so well, is these slow fucking shots, and the things that pop out at you aren't even pop. It's not like boo. They're just standing there. And they're doing their thing. And then so that when something fast does happen, like the again, spoilers, but the final sequence. So what you find out is there's a demon that the dead grandmother has invoked. Because the whole movie, by the way, let me slow down. The whole movie, I think the true brilliance of the movie is that it really is about generational trauma and the inheritance of generational trauma. So you have the mother, played brilliantly by Toni Collette, is from the very beginning kind of unsure about her mother who's just passed, rejecting in a lot of ways her mother who just passed. And the son, who is also played brilliantly by Alex Wolff, who is the young kid in fucking Jumanji, by the way.
Really?
The new Jumanji, the one, he's the kid that turns into the Rock in the game. Please keep your eye out for him, because I'm gonna say it here now, this kid is the real fucking deal. I was like, goddamn kid. I'm just jumping all over the place now, but my mind is still addled from this movie. There's a scene, so let me slow down again. The grandmother invokes this demon, and the demon is trying to find a host, and the host is supposed to be the son. So it's all about kind of tracking this demon as it kind of inches closer to getting inside the son. At one point, the climax of the movie, it gets into Toni Collette. She goes off. She is running around chasing this kid. terrifying. There's the most heartbreaking scene. He's in, she chases him into the attic, and he's in the attic, and the door's locked, and he's just like,
Stop! Mom, please stop! Mom, I'm sorry, okay? I'm sorry!
it's like heartbreaking because this kid's just being chased by his mother, and he just doesn't understand what the fuck she's doing. And meanwhile, the shot of her, the now famous shot where she's like on all fours on the ceiling of the like on the attic door, like banging her head furiously against the attic door. It is, oh my god, dude. And then of course the fucking pièce de résistance. So he gets in the attic and he discovers this is all a fucking cult, and he sees the decapitated head of his sister and all this bullshit.
Yeah, talk to me a little bit about the ending, because I was talking about a movie like Mama that it answers it answers the question of its own mythology in a way that's satisfying, and Hereditary to me did not. Hereditary to me used supernatural and creepy as an out for a story that wasn't quite totally developed.
Oh, I see. I disagree with that, because so to me, look at what the movie is about. What is the thesis of the film? Generational trauma and the fact that you can't outrun your parents. That's literally what it is. You truly, right? Like Tony, the first image of the film, which I think is so brilliant, is the dollhouse. And again, you realize that Toni Collette's character, who's trying to push away from her mother, builds these dollhouses, right? That's what she does. She in intricate detail about, and like kind of recreates scenes from her life with these dollhouses. And you very quickly get the implication that this is a form of control for her. This is her way of having some sort of grip on a world that she feels is slipping out of her grasp. Even though she is trying to run away from a trauma, she has put that control on her son, right? She's trying to control his life, and he's pushing away from her. And so it's this, so generational trauma is a thing of, it's kind of this cycle of trauma and control. You get traumatized, so you look for control and you pass it down constantly. So I think that the ending, again, spoilers for the third time, he said, the demon ends up taking over the son. It does catch the son, and it's very sad because you feel so bad for this he's had the worst fucking couple weeks in his life, and you're just like, oh, you poor boy. But it's also, I mean, it's the truth of it, which is like, you really can't escape these things. Now, what you do to heal it, I think is the original sin the movie is pointing towards, right? None of these people actually try to reconcile with their trauma. They just try to push it away. And that's what happens when you push it away, is it controls you. And and like the mother, I mean, God, like Toni Collette's character's death in this fucking movie is probably the scariest moment of the film.
I don't recall, actually.
You don't recall her levitating above her son and cutting her own head off with piano wire? You don't recall that?
No, it's just another Tuesday for me.
Alex, you fucking asshole.
I guess that movie, like, by the time it gets to the end, I just remember being exhausted by it.
It's terrifying.
Yeah, and I'm recalling it now. Yeah, that might have happened.
That does. Let me just say again, Toni Collette cuts off her own head with piano wire while staring blankly into the eyes of her son. That is how the movie, and the movie's not even over. That's maybe 7 minutes away from the ending of the movie. The movie continues after that moment. Dude. Oh my God.
I vaguely remember now.
And that's the thing, right? When you have a movie that is well paced, that is well structured, even if your ending is a little ambiguous.
Well, so the real ending, so then he goes out to the treehouse, right?
Yes.
The one where we first find his sister.
Yes.
And there's like 18 old naked people in there.
The cult. Yeah, the cult. His grandmother's cult.
And I don't know. To me, it just seemed like, why?
Well,
it tried to get bigger and bigger and bigger and end on this like pulling you deeper and deeper into it.
The implication,
to the point it was stretched.
To me, the implication was that this is something that his grandmother's control was never relinquished, even in death. This was all planned. Killing the daughter was planned. Everything that happened was part of a larger plan, and this was something that he could not escape.
Interesting.
And because again, he goes into this room, he sees the naked people, he sees all these fucking effigies, and then the light switches over him, and the demon is taken over, and he clicks his tongue, and they say, "Hail Payman, hail Pay." Okay, this is and by the way, ladies and gentlemen, if you ever want to know when shit is going to get worse before it gets better, if Ann Dowd is in your movie,
if Ann Dowd is in your movie, unless your movies walk hard.
Yeah, if Ann Dowd shows up in your life, well, no, that's what's her name? That's Margot Martindale, and I always get them confused because Margot.
Oh, are they not the same?
They're not the same. They're not the same. Ann Dowd and Margot Martindale.
Really, Ann Dowd,
and they're both brilliant actresses.
I'm literally looking at Ann Dowd's picture. I'm like, no, that's her, but it's not.
It's Margot Martindale. Yep. And I only know that because Margot Martindale is one of my.
If you Google Margot Martindale, it fills the first thing on Google that it fills in is Margot Martindale and Dowd.
I know. they literally, they're very similar in
picture them together,
and they've actually played.
Oh wow!
Yeah, exactly. Isn't that crazy? Like, very easy mistake.
My mind is blown.
Yeah, very easy mistake.
So how did you feel when you get to this point? Because this is a movie that descends, right?
Yes.
It's a slow descent into
madness.
Very slow descent into madness. So it's late at night. You're getting more tired. You're like physically, right? The trauma of the first half of the movie has left you in a way. So like, do you think that shaped how you experienced the ending?
Yeah. By the end, I was like, I just want this. Like, I was just like, I can't do this anymore. I literally, and it wasn't like I have to turn the movie off. I was like, no, we're going to finish this shit. But I also, as soon as the movie was over, I had to fucking turn out the lights and go back to my fucking bed. And there's all these, and like half of the movie's scares are people hiding in shadowy corners of your home when the lights are off. So it was like, fuck you. And like, I almost punched my cat because he was like, meow. And I'm like, shut the fuck up. Shut the fuck up, Ferris. You don't know what I'm going through right now. I'm sorry. I love my cat. He's my best friend. But goddamn, it was terrifying. So yeah, but in answer to your question, by the end of it, yeah, I just felt like there was just so much imagery that I had seen that I really to be honest with you, it didn't take me too long to fall asleep. I was like out. I was like, nope, done. We're going to bed. And I put on, we were texting each other laughing like, it's time for some Always Sunny after this. I actually put on like the opposite of this, which is like, I watched this YouTube channel called Townsend's, which is this guy who he does 18th century cooking. He's like this, basically the Mr. Rogers of the 18th century. He's like this.
Amazing.
Yeah. And so he was like, today we're going to learn how to make succotash. We're going to make corn succotash. And I was like, great. Teach me how to make succotash, sir.
The anti-horror is corn succotash.
A fucking bowl of 18th century corn succotash. So yeah,
and then he turned and looked into the screen and started talking to you directly.
And then I said, absolutely not. Good night. Bye. Goodbye. But seriously though, I will say, if you're just looking for a good, like, I really do believe it's just such a well done film.
It's yeah. And I liked it better if if Midsummer is your only introduction to Ari Aster, Hereditary is very different.
Yeah,
better in my opinion.
Yeah, please watch. I haven't watched Midsummer all the way through. I've only watched clips, so I have to do that next. But
yeah, you kind of need to watch Midsummer all the way through to get it. It's a very slow burn into madness, and it doesn't use shadows. It doesn't use any. It literally like you just start to go crazy as you're watching it.
It seems like it's a very similar setup in a way to.
It is, yeah, and the whole thing. It's a I think he describes it as a breakup movie. Like the whole thing is about ending a relationship and power and control in a relationship. Which like yeah, it fits, it works, and it's good, but it's not Hereditary.
Yeah, exactly. So I
cool.
watched.
Well, I'm proud of you.
Yeah, I'm proud of you too. I'm never doing that shit again. This was
next. We'll do worst movie to watch at 3 a.m.
Listen, you know what? I was actually thinking about that. I was like, because that's kind of the natural sequel to this. Is at some point we do a 3 a.m. Like what's the when you're even more tired? What's the worst movie to watch? So I actually would be down for that. But this was terrible for 2 a.m. So fuck you, Hereditary.
Oh, hey. It's all right. Charlie, you're all right now. You are Payman, one of the 8 kings of hell. Hey! Haman! Hail Haman! Hail Haman! Hail!
Talk to me about your film.
All right. This one you'll get. This one everybody knows. So my original choice was It Follows. Similar kind of movie actually completely different from Hereditary, but that same kind of, slow burn. It's coming for you. My original movie was Paranormal Activity, which I thought just because it's in your house, it's things happening to you at night, it worked really well. The style of it and the little things that get you. I went a different direction now, as I thought. I was scrolling through all the horror movies I could find in my collection, and there was one that I kept going past, like, I'm not gonna watch that, like there's no way, like I'll find something easier to swallow, and I kept coming back to it saying, like, I really don't want to watch this right now.
Yep.
I thought that there has to be a reason that this is the one movie, even though I've seen it a couple times already, it affects me physically to think about putting this on, putting headphones on, turning off the lights, and watching this right now. So I was like, all right, that's the one.
Okay.
Two girls watching TV.
Fuck you. Fuck you. Terrible.
They're talking. One girl is talking to the other about the electromagnetic waves in the air and how dangerous they are.
God, I hate these movies. Suck.
And they eventually get to the topic of a VHS tape.
Yeah,
have you
why
heard
would
about
you-
this tape?
I have not heard about this tape, and I don't want to hear.
You haven't heard about it?
I haven't heard.
It's this
shit
tape
about
where
this tape.
if you watch it,
Stop it.
it'll
I don't
kill
like that
you
voice.
in 7 days.
I don't like that voice, and I don't like the tape. Nobody likes the voice or the tape. It's a terrible voice and a terrible
You don't
tape.
even need any more setup for The Ring.
Jesus Christ.
So what I love about this movie, and it has fallen into the same annals as, as Scream, these movies from that era of like jump scare, for whatever reason, all these movies start with teenage girls in their own house.
Mm-hmm.
But this one's different. This one is wholly built around its style, right? Its main character is pretty uninteresting. The story, there is no story outside of the scariness,
Mm-hmm.
right? There is no real deeper, there's little things about parenthood and about this stuff, but it's literally just there to support the creepiness of everything that's happening. So it's following Naomi Watts' character, Rachel, whose niece is one of the girls in the opening scene who has admitted that she watched this videotape and ends up dying. And Naomi Watts, Rachel, has to figure it out, right? She's curious. She hears from the friends about it. Turns out they all, she had snuck away to go on a weekend trip with her friends. All the friends who watched the tape, they're all dead now.
It's about the tape.
Helen, don't even. What tape?
The one that kills you when you watch it.
Oh, please. What was on the tape?
I haven't seen it, obviously.
So she goes to investigate, ends up watching the tape, and is given, the phone rings, and she's given this 7-day, if you don't know The Ring by now, I can't help you. But from the get-go, what makes this just like, even just talking about it, you're like, oh no, no, I'm not gonna watch this, because every single scene is rotten. Every single scene, without doing anything, you just know that something creepy, something crazy, something like bigger than you is waiting there, right? The characters exist in this universe where this like universe of darkness, right? And it doesn't even matter where it comes from.
Is there ever sunlight in the entire
There's
film?
not.
Yeah.
The whole time it's dark. The whole time it's raining. Every time she's outside, even during the day, they pump all of this fog and mist, and everything is soaked and damp. and it's joyless. It is completely joyless, and it's contrasted by Naomi Watts, who's just like the most beautiful person you've ever seen in your life, who's very confident, who's very whatever, who's just thrust into this situation that she really, really wants to solve. And you understand that it's like right from the beginning, we're just living in hell, basically. You know, like it doesn't matter what happens because everybody's involved. Every single character we talk to, we approach is somehow involved in this craziness. So we come to find out, you know, there's a little girl, Samara, who was adopted by this woman who lived on an island with her and her husband. And it turns out the little girl is evil. You know, it's the same. Oh, little girl's evil, and you have to, you know, defeat the little evil girl.
Defeat the little evil girl.
Defeat the little evil girl. You find out that she had been like hidden away in the barn by her dad to try to spare the mother who was being driven insane by her.
Of course.
And eventually the mother takes her to this well out in the middle of the woods and kills her and throws her in, or thinks she kills her and throws her in, but she survives down in the well for 7 days.
Oh, P.S. Funny story. So I did a show called The Last Goodbye at the Old Globe. And it was Romeo and Juliet mixed with the music of Jeff Buckley. Really good show. And my friend Michael Kimmel wrote it and put together. It was really just like a truly awesome thing. The woman who played Lady Capulet was an incredible, incredible actress. We are, you know, when you do a regional show, they house you in like kind of almost like these like dorms, but like really they have, you know, they have like apartments or an apartment building they'll have. My apartment was always below hers, so I would always go down there and like we just talk about like her career, and she would make Moscow mules and we would just sit and like drink and like chat, and it was really nice. She's just a lovely lady, but like every time I saw her, I was like, you really like there's something about you like that you just creep me out, just fucking creep me out. I don't know what it is. And then finally, I was sitting there, like one of the, like it was like the night before we opened the show. I was sitting there with her, just drinking Moscow Mule, and I was like, "You're the fucking lady from The Ring. You're the goddamn mother." And sure enough, it was Shannon Cochran.
Shannon Cochran. No way.
And I was like, "Oh my fucking god, you terrified the shit out of me, my friend."
So you sat down in a basement in the middle of the night with the mother from The Ring. That's
accurate. Accurate.
That's fucking terrifying.
I was like, for so long, because she's such a nice person. She's like an amazing actor and such a nice person.
Yeah.
I was like, why do I feel unsafe with you?
That's why. I mean, even to this day, right? This movie came out in 2002. This was a very long time. It was almost 20 years ago this movie came out. As soon as someone says like creepy little girl, this is the movie. Like the girl from The Ring is still like a cultural identity of a thought.
Yep.
All the hair over the face and pulling hair out of the mouth, like all these tropes that have since been beaten to death by, you know, who's that guy? Oh, and my wife is standing there with her hair over her face.
Nope.
That's actually pretty scary, babe.
Yeah. Tell her to pull her hair back. Please pull your hair back for the good of the pod.
For the good of the pod.
Oh, God damn it.
It's just that the whole movie's just built on visual torture.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I'm trying to think like as a 2 a.m. movie, I think I chose it because it doesn't engage on a deeper level than just trying to keep you down in hell with it. Like it doesn't try to tell a deeper story. There's not like a bigger thing. Even when you think you get to the end and you think that things have resolved and you're like, okay, that's like, yeah, I see the arc of the movie. And then probably the scariest moment in the whole movie to me is she's laying on the bed with her son. You know, she's better now. She's helped the girl. She went down the well and helped the girl come out.
Don't you have to be at work?
Not today.
What happened to the girl?
Samara?
Is that her name?
Mm-hmm.
Is she still in the dark place?
No. We set her free.
You helped her?
Yeah.
Why did you do that?
And you just like, I'm getting chills just like thinking about it. You realize, oh shit, no, everything's not better. Everything is actually way worse. Like we thought we were out past every scene where you'd want it to end, and you finally get this conclusion, and then you realize, no, it's about to get worse than before.
It's really
I
and
don't
like
even have anything smart to say about
no,
it. I
and
just
it's and it was truly the first, because what year was this that this came out? The Ring,
2002.
2002. So this was right on the heels of Blair Witch, which was 98, I believe, or 99. And Blair Witch, was Blair Witch is really, if you watch it back, it's like a study in tension, right? It's like, because nothing happens in Blair Witch, truly,
Right.
nothing happens, but it's the expectation that something is going
Correct.
to happen, and the way they were able to build that. So I think this movie almost, I almost see a world where they they were still kind of on that track of running with that, but they kind of combined the best of and granted this, because this was a remake, right? Ringu was the
It
first,
was, yes.
right? But I think it's like, yeah, you take certain elements of a slasher film where you have a specific monster that you see, that is tangible, that is coming to get you. But even then, isn't the first time you see the girl crawl, do things is when it kills Scott Summers, right?
Yeah, the first time, I mean, the only time really that the girl herself actually does something is at the very end when Scott Summers plays the ex-husband of Naomi Watts' character. And he has this dope loft in Manhattan, or wherever, whatever city they're in, Portland or wherever. This amazing
Rick,
creative
what the
loft,
fuck is his deal?
And his TV turns on, and the well, and I think what this movie does really well is it plays with its repeating imagery but changing things each time you see it, right? So you watch the tape a million times, and every time it extends a little bit, and they get to the end of in the middle of the movie, they get to the end of the tape and there's a shot of the well, and the first time you see it, it's just the well, and then it cuts. The second time you see it, it's the well, and you see a hand come out, and now this time it finishes, right? The well is there, and the girl who you have seen now crawls out, and then she walks forward, and then she crawls out of the TV.
It's because it's what they show you and it's what they don't. It's that thing of like, because even then you still don't see what she does to Scott Summers. You just see his corpse later.
Hey guys, it's me. As an aside, Nick keeps referring to this actor as Scott Summers. So the actor is actually Martin Henderson. I looked it up, and the best I can tell is Scott Summers is the pedestrian name of the X-Men's Cyclops.
And also it sets you up because by the end of the movie, you have watched the tape. So like now you got to wait 7 days to see what the fuck's going to happen to you.
Right.
Like
so it sends the audience out to like, and to their credit, they don't really push that, because they could be like, they could make that really obvious. Like you have watched the tape. Like the kid could say some line at the end, like, what about who? Well, oh no, you know what? He does say that at the end. Actually, I take that back. What about the people we show it to?
Yep, exactly.
It doesn't matter. We're safe now, because the idea is you don't die if you copy the tape and show it to someone else.
Oh my god.
Which is insane. I mean, going back, like I think what this film does the best is the visual play, right?
Yep.
It really does take this repeating the ladder and the lighthouse and the tree and the everything. It all kind of comes full circle and makes sense within the story of the supernatural, and they start it from the very beginning. So like there's really not one character or object or anything introduced that does not matter, that does not pull you in. So you come to feel very familiar with everything going on, and then they subvert it a little bit, and they twist it, they mutilate it, and it makes you feel like the thing that you think you finally have a grasp on, you don't. The genius thing when she's looking at the tape, and in the video, there's a fly, right, that you think like, oh, it's on the camera or whatever, and there's that genius moment. She's copying the tape and she pauses it. The video's paused, and the fly's wing is twitching, and then she reaches out and picks it off the TV, and you're like, oh, like this is more than just like,
it's more than
this is
tape.
Just, oh yeah.
What's wrong, honey?
You weren't supposed to help her.
It's okay now. She's not gonna hurt you.
Don't you understand, Rachel? She never sleeps.
Hey, Alex.
Anyway, fuck that. Yeah.
You ever heard about that podcast? Little Justice?
The one where
if you listen to it in 7 days, you get $1 million.
If you can make it through one episode of Little
Justice,
you get $1 million.
$1 million. tax free.
You're gonna need it for all that therapy.
For all that goddamn therapy
that you're gonna need after
Toni Collette chases you into the goddamn attic.
Oh my God.
Terrible.
Toni Collette, I almost picked The Sixth Sense.
I mean, excellent movie, but not
but again a movie that's too resolution-y. The story's too good in The Sixth Sense. The script is too solid for it to stay scary. There's some jump scares, there's some scary stuff, but the characters are too interesting.
Yeah, it really
at 2 a.m.
I think that's, you really do have to and that's why I really do think the work of Toni Collette and Alex Wolff, especially in Hereditary, is transcendent from that movie, because you really don't want your characters to be on paper too likable. We want to empathize with them, but we also want to be able to remove ourselves,
right?
You know what I mean, and just like go on the journey. But Tony, I mean, it's really heartbreaking moments, really things that did not have to be as deep as they were, became deeper in the hands of these two amazing actors. The whole cast, everyone in the cast, but specifically them, just phenomenal. So there you have it, Hereditary and Ringu. If you, please tweet at us. I know I mentioned this earlier. We would love to hear what your horror movies are. So I'm going to say it again, at Lil Justice Pod, LILJUSTICEPOD. I'll think of a song for that later.
Yeah.
Don't knock on things when we're talking about horror. Do you know how quickly I thought that was someone in another room? Alex, you're gonna fucking burn for this. I'm gonna watch you.
You helped her?
Stop it. Stop it.
Why would you do that?
I'm getting off this podcast. Ladies and gentlemen, have a wonderful day. Please stay safe. Fuck you, Alex Small.
Little justice, little